this business. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our new favorites, Rob Schmitt, is off today, and I do mean off. And Matt Gaetz is actually filling in for him, and so this is Matt Gaetz doing Rob Schmitt's opening monologue on his show.
Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. Rob's got the night off. I'm Matt Gaetz, your favorite congressman, and at least your third favorite Newsmax guest host.
I don't know who the other two are. I think that's just a reference to people who have teenage daughters who have just shut off their television.
Oversight Chairman James Comer has written the National
They're reusing the graphic from the other shows.
Archivist on suspicion that Joe Biden was actually communicating with Hunter's foreign homies under the fake name of
Foreign homies.
Robert L. Peters, among others. I'll admit it. This makes me angry, but mostly very jealous as an American. When the Chinese and Burisma and corrupt foreigners were bribing the Bidens, they got a version of Joe so sharp that he was apparently able to keep track of not just one or two, but multiple identities. Our president.
Right. So we've covered this before. Everybody in the White House used these. The Bush White House used them. Cheney used them. Senators used them. The only reason Matt Gaetz doesn't use them is because his Venmo payments for underage sex work has already been made. It's interesting. I'm curious if his Venmo has his actual name on it, because we saw the payments from it. But you know what I mean? But I don't know that we saw, because it says it's from him, but I don't know if that it shows the name he actually uses.
The presidential version of Joe is hardly an upgrade. The Joe Biden we get can't stay upright, much less operate 3 or 4 identities simultaneously. When Joe Biden went from cleverly sneaking around as Robert L. Peters to now triggering silver alerts and awkwardly sniffing people, it was strange. Hey, Speaker McCarthy,
I love how they just show him walking to places he's supposed to walk to, and the idea is that he must be walking someplace he's not supposed to be walking to, and that's that. That's the argument. You see him like walking to the podium, or he steps off and he's talking to somebody. You're like, hey, oh, I got to head out this way. Okay, I'm going this way. And he does his little shuffle dance and nobody cares, and anybody else does it, they're totally fine, but Biden does it, and suddenly it's because he's lost.
If we don't have the votes to impeach Biden, can we at least get impeachment rolling on Robert L. Peters? Even Obama used fake names to communicate with Hillary. Isn't it odd that we see so many of the Obama White House tactics
are the same as every other White House?
Going up in Biden world?
Or every other political administration that has occurred since the invention of email?
It's almost as if the two are indistinguishable.
It's almost as if Barack H. Obama at whitehouse.gov would have been kind of a dead giveaway.
Now, the law firm of Garland, Smith, Bragg, Willis, and Weiss has functionally formed to protect one client, Joe Biden. And like magic beans, criminal charges against President Trump,
speaking of magic beans,
have sprouted precisely as Joe Biden needs rescue like never before. According
to... Have you ever seen anybody sort of so proud to be reading a teleprompter? It's adorable. It's kind of, it's almost cute. It's gosh, I hope he has the same articulate nature and excitement when he does his when he listens to the victim impact statements and offers his apology.
The House Oversight Committee, tens of millions of dollars have traveled.
Oh, New York Post. Overseas payments to Biden family could exceed 40 million. Comer says this was organized crime. We just got a new one. Could exceed 40. Didn't it drop down to 20?
From foreign accounts to the Biden family. They don't make products. The only thing for sale is Joe.
Well, no. I mean, they were literally like the main CEFC deal was for a natural gas company in Louisiana. It's an actual thing. It was actually for sale, and they were actually going to buy it. And yeah, that was a thing. It was an actual business.
First, Joe Biden said he was a total stranger to his son's business deals.
Oh, they're just reusing everybody's stuff. Nobody showed up for work. Matt Gaetz is going to be there, so everybody went home. Let me guess. All the graphics people at Newsmax are female and look uncomfortably close to the age of 17.
I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it.
And I didn't realize he was on the board till after he'd been on the board. And at the same time, he has come forward and said it was a mistake on his part to be on the board.
Yeah, that's in line with everything we've heard before.
That became a difficult position to maintain as pictures showed up with Joe chumming up Hunter's business.
That's after he was on the board. That picture's after he's on the board.
Associates.
And that's at a different gathering.
We even call them business associates at this point.
Yes, they would be business associates. Well, technically speaking, that guy would be his business associate because this guy wanted to get some legit business started, and so he's trying to work with him. This guy's just the prime minister, so
point or just
former prime minister.
Bribe payers. The White House
bribe payers, to get that thing done that they wanted that happened. Remember when the thing that they got that they shouldn't have got that America didn't want them to get, but they got? Remember what that was? What was that? Thinking about it, but there was a thing, wasn't there? So they paid Biden to do this thing for them, and what they got in return was, how we didn't want to do that thing. I smell.
Imagined their answer into something new. Joe may have talked to Hunter and his partners, but he wasn't actually in business with Hunter.
I've been asked this question a million times. The answer is not.
Yeah, she's trying to re-answer it a dozen times.
Going to change. The answer remains the same. The president was never in business with his son. I just don't have anything else to add.
And that was indirectly a question about their business together. Not, was he on the phone calls? Did he actually meet his business partners? Blah, blah, blah. It was literally like their business together is like he was never in business with his son.
Key Biden insider Devin Archer told House investigators.
The guy who got more money from Burisma than Hunter did and who's going to jail for bilking native tribes out of millions of dollars.
Joe Biden was the brand. That's why.
Right. Trustworthiness. And I think ultimately, if you're trying to sell like you can trust me with your money as an investment broker, that's the brand for everybody, isn't it?
Why he knew to keep calling in to Hunter's business dinners. Surf and turf may have been.
And again, knew to keep calling in 10 years, 20 calls that he called him every single day, and 20 times that Devin Archer could think of, and that's not even an actual number, he just thought it up out of his head. 20 times he kind of remembers Joe calling in, and they never discussed business. He was like, hey guys, how's the fishing?
Consumed by fork and knife. But we all know that it was Joe Biden really on the menu. But a special counsel has been appointed to investigate Hunter. Shouldn't that quell our concerns?
No, we're just bored across, with all of it.
He was even appointed by Trump, a talking point breathlessly promoted by the national media.
Yeah, he was.
Investigation was led.
This is the whole there were two senators in Delaware, so he didn't really have a choice. He had a choice.
By the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss,
who was he appointed by?
He was appointed by former President Donald Trump.
David Weiss, the U.S. Attorney in Delaware who led the probe, was appointed by then President Trump.
The probe was led by the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss, who was, we should point.
Yeah, but there were multiple people that the senators were that were on their list, and Trump could pick from that list. And he picked this guy.
Appointed by former President Trump.
Let me explain how the sausage is actually made with U.S. attorney appointment.
First of all, you buy the ecstasy from a friend that doesn't work in government because you don't want that coming back to you. Then Jeff makes you and the girl an ID that says she's over 21. And then you take a private plane because you really don't want to go through regular, an airport lobby because there's too many cameras and that kind of stuff. Then when she's asleep,
the prosecutor must obtain approval from both U.S. senators from that state. Weiss hails from Delaware, where Senator Chris Coons is so lashed to Joe Biden that Politico called him Biden's closest Senate ally and the shadow Secretary of State. Senator
yeah, he's a decent dude. That's not a bad thing.
Coons' statement gushing over the so-called Trump appointment of Weiss was nothing short of a cat bath. Pardon me for not trusting the Hunter Biden investigation to the guy that Joe Biden's best friend called a dedicated public servant and an excellent nominee. I spoke with President Trump recently about this dynamic.
Oh, yeah. Play the tape.
And he confirmed to me that he was only
hearsay
presented with options approved by Delaware senators.
Right. He had multiple options approved by both, and he could choose from those options. And he chose Weiss. Do you see how that works? Like, yeah, did he have to, was he limited by the fact that the state had elected two Democrats and they got to have a say in who their AG West, yeah, sure. Yeah. But Trump had the final choice of that pick, and he picked Weiss.
They aren't sending their best.
Well, it didn't matter, because even if they were a wash, if all of them were the same, he still picked Weiss.
Just their most loyal to them.
I see. So Trump picked, of the options that he was given by the two Delaware senators, he picked the most loyal Biden soldier on there. That makes sense.
Clearly, this special counsel is the Department of Justice's attempt at a do-over. First, they tried the plea bargain that would have inoculated Hunter from the Crimes House investigators were discovering.
No, it just inoculated him against anything that he had copped to in the process of the plea, which is pretty normal. And because they dug around so much, it encompassed almost everything. Now, when they come back for another plea deal, it's going to be very expansive too, and they're going to have to write up all parts of it. And part of the language is just going to be anything discussed in the process of establishing the plea deal, or any area discussed where he's given testimony in regard to the plea deal is off limits, so that you can't double jeopardy him after he's already copped information. It would violate his Fifth Amendment rights. And again, they can still do it. They could still sign off on this one, give him a plea deal, or a lower sentence. Which, by the way, didn't they drop the fucking misdemeanor tax charges? Hold on, we have to the latest stuff on this is a bit weird. Hold on, go to you guys. Yeah. Yeah, so they effectively dumped them. This is the federal judge in Delaware formally dismissed misdemeanor tax charges against Hunter Biden on Thursday, but the president's son is expected to face the same charges or new ones in the near future. The decision by U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Noriega had been expected following a failed plea deal. Special counsel David Weiss' office moved to dismiss the charges last week, citing venue problems that would not have been an issue had Biden pleaded guilty, as initially expected. Biden had agreed this year to plead guilty, blah, blah, blah. As the attorney for Delaware, Weiss, the main prosecutor, after hearing, blah, blah, blah. They indicated they would most likely charge Biden in California or Washington, because that's where he was living at the time, for the tax stuff. And then Washington, D.C., I think the gun charge was in California. It's weird. And right-wingers think it's unconstitutional anyways, which is the hilarious part. The government, in the exercise of its prosecutorial discretion, is considering what tax charges to bring in another district, and may elect to bring the same charges set forth in the instant information or different ones. Biden attorney Abby Lowell said Friday in an interview that if special counsel does anything other than refile the same misdemeanor tax charges in a jurisdiction that has venue, then people should ask themselves the following question. After 5 years and all the things that were investigated, if anything changes in what happens next, then people should ask, it has to be something other than the facts or the law that has been infecting the process at this point. Last week, Biden's attorney said they considered a deal. Prosecutors said the deal was not in effect. Biden's lawyers, Chris Clark, moved to withdraw from the case during the back and forth, saying expected to be called as a witness in the dispute. Yeah. La di fucking da. Whoops. Here, that's awful. Okay.
Had that plea deal worked, you would not have a special counsel today. But
you guys hate the special counsel.
The judge smelled a rat and blew up that sweetheart deal, they
didn't smell a rat. You guys brought a rat over. And they went, yeah, you smell something, Judge?
Move to Plan B. Appoint a Biden-friendly, Coons-approved special counsel under the fiction that he was a Trump-selected lawman. The absolute key for House Republicans, and I could not be more serious about this, we cannot...
I agree. I don't think he could be more serious. I think inserious is his constant state.
...allow the ongoing investigation claim to stymie our oversight. The Biden brand, a.k.a. Joe Biden, was for sale. Hunter ran the money through a network of shell companies.
Nope. There's only one company that qualifies as a shell company. It lasted 3 months and was converted into another company that actually was a functioning investment firm.
Called into meetings to the bribe payers to signal that he was playing ball.
No. No, none of the calls, according to Devin Archer, involved Zlochevsky or anybody like that.
And if additional assurances
yes,
were needed, Robert L. Peters was there to communicate on the down low. They got caught. Now they're trying to.
First of all, the Robert L. Peters email address is on an official government server. All the emails sent to and from it are part of the record. I mean, there's a flim flam you can do on your viewers, but this is the highest order. Anybody who says, like, this is, if you want a better example of fake news, I don't know one. Because he knows this, and he's pretending that he doesn't. To stir up certain feelings and distrust and hatred and anger and motivate, I suppose, as you know, from a political standpoint, a certain segment of the audience.
Cover it up, and this special counsel appointment is just the next step in the cover-up.
And cut. Yeah, that's next. We're gonna grade. We've already, we're going a different way, but I'll call your agent later in the day. It's not gonna happen, but yeah. It's just one of those things like exasperated fiction that he's just selling.